taxes, inflation, and the breakdown of the family are causing us to fall behind. We have the lowest net worth in the United States, and I'm sure those numbers cross the border as well.
Some people get the disability tax credit and they don't open the registered disability savings plan, and that's where the government puts in all the money of grants and bonds for a person with a disability who has done all the steps. Some people don't do all the steps.
Good morning, everybody. It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care, and being part of that team, we've reached out directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. And as always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. You are watching, The Morning Vibe on September 20th. Yes, I think this is the last weekend of summer. I think fall starts, Sunday on the 22nd. But I will tell you, here in Toronto, where I'm based, the weather has been smashingly amazing, probably for the last week or so. If you are in Celsius world, we've been around 25 degrees every day. If you're in Fahrenheit world, we're about 80 to 85 every day. Not too much humidity. Nights, you can sleep with the window open with fresh air, which is absolutely phenomenal. Now, this is me, Dr. Vibe, my co-host Ryan Knight. He may or may not be with us, but he usually joins me. So if he's not here today, hey, we can do it on our own. We've done it before. We can do it again. Just some housework things. If you want to subscribe to my channel on YouTube, which I'd love you to, we're almost at 1,560. Almost. We're pushing it. So if you want to subscribe on YouTube, hit the notification button and the subscribe button on YouTube. Also follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram at The Dr. Vibe Show. Also, if you want to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms I'm a part of, please feel free to email me at dr.vibe@vibeshow.com. And then finally, join our Discord group where we keep the conversations going in between shows. Yeah, in between shows. Again, you can email me dr.vibe@vibeshow.com. Especially US-wise, National Ovarian Cancer Month. Let's bring to the stage Serena Williams.
Hey, hello, good morning.
Good morning, how you doing?
I am blessed and highly favored. How are you?
I am blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles and solution for someone's problem. And Black Alicious, what's going on in your world?
Actually, this is my second time on The Morning Vibe. The first time I talked about self-publishing, but it was a while ago. This was a while ago. I think my son was in 5th grade when that happened. Now he's in 7th. That's how I keep track.
Oh, yes.
Certain places.
Yes. And for people going, okay, what are they talking about? Well, Serena's been on my platform for a number of years, and that's respectfully. And when we first started out, her son, who was much smaller, would be peeking in from that door behind you, basically saying, "Mom, when are you finishing? When are you finishing?"
Or just wanting to be on camera. He was in 1st grade the first time we had our show. It was 2018. Yeah, he was in 1st grade.
That long ago?
Yeah, it was fall 2018. And I always remember because the first show, that was the evening shows, like you were saying. My first show with you was with Tara. Yeah. So that was fall 2018 because I met her in 2018, but he was in 1st grade. Now he's in 7th.
So old, 2018, and it makes me feel even older that he's where he is now, and you don't see him around. You don't see him around. And
I mean, he's in school this morning, but if it was nighttime, he still wouldn't be here. He's 13. He's like, I'm good. Tell everybody I said hi. That's what he tells me. Tell everybody I said hi.
I'm good. Tell everybody I say hi. My goodness. But now
Okay.
to see him, his growth and maturation, it's just
Yeah.
absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And thanks
See,
for being a part of our family. You are family, Dr. Vibe. So that's why I share with you the first day of school pictures and
yes.
the journey. And so thank you for being there.
All right. Well, you know what? I appreciate that. I'm going to get into ovarian cancer. What are
Okay.
the known risk factors for ovarian cancer?
The risk factors, it depends on when you're diagnosed. And then even then, so for example, I'll bring up our beloved friend Tara Lessard, God rest her soul. She was stage 4 ovarian cancer. And we're talking late 30s or early 40s. And the first doctor she met with was pretty much trying to write her off. Oh, you got stage 4 cancer. Basically, well, Tara fired him from her team. She was like, no, what you're not going to do is tell me I'm checking out of here in a few months or in a year or two. No. And she was young. She was able to get her ovarian cancer in remission from stage 4. And I've actually met other women in stage 4, and they are now in remission and living full lives. What happened with Tara is that, and it happens with this is why there is a 92% survival rate for those who are caught in the earlier stages within the first 5 years. For those in the latter years, the reason why they're not in that 92% is they're now looking for other cancers that might possibly develop. Tara developed pelvic cancer. So she was in remission from ovarian cancer, doing well, and then started to feel lethargic. And because she had ovarian cancer, the cancer antigen tests were a part of her normal routine for blood work. Her CA levels were getting higher. And I remember her talking to us, Dr. Vibe, once about going through some stuff and how she wanted to come back and talk to us about it a few months later. And she never got back to the show because she started going into treatment. And it got to a point where I tell people her last birthday was September 2019. She had a party that was Tara, colorful party. She loves sunflowers. I love all the pictures, and everyone was aware that she had re-entered treatment for cancer, but her body was not responsive. It was, oh, this is happening, like these tumors are going lower, but these are not. It was a back and forth with her. And that was September. December 26th of that year, she passed away. The day after Christmas. And I said, what are you talking about? She just had a birthday party. I just talked to her on the phone, a couple of months ago, having a long conversation with her. And I still have a couple of her voicemails saved into my phone. And you couldn't have told me that she would not be here on the Dr. Vibe show with us right now. You could not. So those are the risks. That's part of the risk, is if you're in the latter stages, you're now at a more of a risk for other cancers, even if this one goes into remission. Also, some have not been able to go back to work. Some are, on disability. Some they just can't live their life as full as they want to. And then there's other, like, autoimmune disorders that can now creep in. That's part of a risk factor. And it goes on and on. And this is not just for ovarian cancer, but other cancers. But there are women out there, and there's a poem I have, it's called Living Life 155%. And they are doing it up. Okay. Like, I remember meeting one saying, oh yeah, I always thought about skydiving. And when I went into remission from ovarian cancer and I was well enough, I started skydiving. she said, I no longer think about what I want to do. I just do. And she said, one was like, I always wanted to do parasailing. And I told my family we're going on vacation and we're going somewhere with a beach and somewhere warm and exotic that has parasailing and jet skiing. There was one woman who said, I always hated my job. And she said, I told them I'm in remission. And I quit. She's like, the way y'all treated me during my cancer journey. And she said, life is too short for this. So that's the positives of when you go through this journey. The women who are here to talk about it will tell you they push through and they no longer think about, oh, I think I'm going to write a book. They just write it. Okay, I'm going to start to write. I'm going to think about writing poetry. That was this week. Women were in there writing poetry. So, and I said, more of us need to live like that.
Nice. Again, we're speaking, and Serena's just sharing about ovarian cancer with us. There is a whole conversation going on in the comments. So let me.
Okay.
Elisa says we need better representation in the healthcare system.
Yes,
Dr. Chachi says yes. Mignon Cam says to Elisa Gonzalez, I would like more female doctors speaking on female health issues, not male doctors. Alicia says exactly. Tachi and Minnie. Minnie says to Alicia, my appointment with the vascular surgeon never read my file to know I'm not having children, for my feet swelling is never related to pregnancy. Alicia says, Minnie, it could have been the start of lymphomania. The doctors can be very lax.
Yeah. Lymphedema.
Sorry.
Okay.
Elisa says it is, and it's also connected to multiple sclerosis. But my doctor ignores that they are connected. So now it's fine. Now it's finding funding for compression socks and bring them more evidence. Minnie says, at least I can find medical journals saying lymphomania and MS are linked. Minnie says to Elisa, they ignore my findings. JJ Mars, good to see you, JJ Mars. How are things in Colorado? I had a constant this 3 years ago.
My condolences.
Minnie says disability is designed to keep people below the poverty level for the app. And Minnie says, I went skydiving when my MS was in season of remission. It helped me. It helped. It was my ex-boyfriend. Okay. And Alicia goes, not all the time. Some can be predisposed to varicose veins, and lymphomas are good too. All right. So we got a whole community going on in the chat. Wow. I absolutely love when that happens.
I love that. Yeah.
The conversation. So let me ask, what are the standard treatment options available for ovarian cancer?
Yeah, the one thing I could say is now we're in 2024. There's more options there. It's not just chemo. When my mother was alive, she went through rounds of chemo. She actually told the doctors, I don't want it anymore. The chemo is going to kill me before the cancer does. That was a direct quote from her. They also had her on other oral medications you could just take through your mouth. There was one particular medication that she didn't like the way it made her feel. And we did research on it. And sure enough, that oral medication was linked to blood clots. And sure enough, my mother started to develop blood clots in her legs. And my mother unfortunately lost her ability to walk. Not because of the clots, but because of the cancer, but that the clots were not helping. So they had to put, it's like sleeves, almost look like compression socks, but it's massaging the legs to keep the circulation going. And then now she was on blood thinners to help with the clots. So I was like, there's medications out here that are making her worse. Okay. So there's oral medications, there's chemotherapy, there's immunotherapy, there's IV treatments. And, this is where Carolyn Nicole, maybe we should do a show together with Carolyn Nicole, the way you eat, because you could be the healthiest woman okay, and eating the right foods, but this is where you need a highly anti-inflammatory diet. Um, your body, you start to learn things like I learned in 2020, I had to stop eating chicken during the height of the pandemic. And even though it says free range here in the United States, nothing is completely free range. Nothing. And these chickens still have hormones. Well, the chicken's hormones were not jiving with my hormones. Okay. So I was going into more flux. So some women have stopped eating meat or chicken or things that have hormones in them, eggs hormonal therapy is another one because your hormones are in flux. So we have to try to help with the hormone balance. And just the mental and emotional part, support groups, therapy, counseling, psychology, prayer, for your spiritual health is a part of treatment because you're really going through it. I remember my Aunt Hilda, she was my mother's other caregiver. We would both go up there, and Aunt Hilda always loved to pray for my mother. My best friend Vanetta, one of my best friends in the universe, her dad, who I call Dad, would go up there and read my mom Bible scriptures. I'll never forget, it was the eve of Halloween when they said your mother prayed the prayer of salvation. And I remember I was coming out of church that day and I was like, are you serious? And they said, we prayed with her. And that really got my mother through some really trying times. It was actually, I'll never forget, it was the eve of Halloween because she had chemo that Halloween, 2009. And Halloween is people have their favorite holidays. Halloween, Christmas are my mother's, but I think Halloween tops Christmas for my mother. She was the woman with pounds of candy, and we had the Boys and Girls Clubs rolling up to our doorstep, ringing our bell, and a van full of kids knew, oh, we're going to Miss Wills's house because she's got it going on. And the word
rolling up in the van.
a whole van. Okay, like I'm looking outside and it says Boys and Girls Clubs of America. And I'm like, are there vans? I said, is that the club I play basketball for? Like, wait a minute, because in high school I played basketball through the Boys and Girls Clubs. But they knew she had that reputation in the neighborhood. And she loved it. She did it she loved the joy in kids' faces and everything. So that and then Christmas. Christmas was a top. Those are her top two. But yeah, that's how people are treating their cancer. It's an emotional, mental, spiritual battle as well as physical. Okay. And you got to really make sure everything's together. But Minnie says something very important in the chat. She said an ex-boyfriend. You got to get rid of people, okay? Because people will make you worse. They will make you more sick, and they will tear you down. So you have to purge your circle of people. And Alicia brought up another good point about female doctors. There was not one female doctor that attended to my mother. They were all men. The cardiologists, the oncologists, all the ologists, and mainly the women were the nurses. But not one. Now I'm thinking about it. Not one was a woman.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, let's catch up on the other conversation that's happening today. The one going on the chat on YouTube. So Minnie on Cancer, Minnie and Alicia they got their own vibe going on right now.
I love it. They need to connect.
Yes, they do. Lymphic massage is what I'm searching to find. It's not covered in the Ontario Disability Support Program. Alicia says, Minnie, some day spas offer that for reasonable prices.
Yep.
Minnie says, I need a specialist who can fill out the ADP form for compression socks. It's just not find anyone out there. Alicia says, Minnie, that could be expensive and might not be covered by your insurance. That's why I told you about the Amazon route.
Yep. They got
Alicia says, I wear them. She goes, Alicia, I wear them. I know. Alicia, Minnie says, Alicia, I need custom fit compression socks. So Amazon is a generic fit.
Oh, yeah, she could get There's brands out there that will do customized compression socks at a very good cost. I need Minnie to talk to me.
Yeah, Minnie, you may want to get in touch with Serena via her website, which I've just put on the screen, but it's also in the chat in the comment section where you're watching this. So you may want to reach out to her via there. So let's get back to our comments here. Dr. Tachi, no, some people are toxic. You're kidding me. Alisa says also journaling is very important during the healing process. So there you go. I want to ask also, what are some common misconceptions about ovarian cancer that you have encountered?
Okay, so remember I said I got a full hysterectomy February 2023. What I didn't put in there was the insurance companies. Common misconception is that they'll cover everything or they'll just come to your rescue. And I remember from the time now when my mother was diagnosed, I didn't have any kids. Okay, so, and that was a crazy story because on the day she passed, like hours before she passed, she said, I'm going to miss being a grandmother to my children, like my grandchildren. And she said, no, wait a minute. She said, something's coming to me. She said to my grandson. I wasn't pregnant and nor was I had no one in my life. Okay. So I was like, I'm not even pregnant. I'm not even seeing anybody, Ma. And fast forward the end of that year, I was pregnant. And then fast forward some more, I had a son. And I was like, wow, Ma. Okay. So she saw that. But anyway, the misconceptions is I battled for years to get a surgery done. I said, look, I have a cyst on each ovary. They're not going away. Is there a way to get rid of the cysts? Is there a way to, now a few years in, can I get a full hysterectomy? I'm at high risk for ovarian cancer. I'm at high risk for cervical cancer. And every year I got denied. Years. Even though I was high risk, they were like, oh, well, the gene, you got the gene test done. You don't have the mutated genes. And it doesn't matter. My mother is not here anymore. So we really had to go to bat. And I met he's my gynecologist to this day. I actually see him on Monday for a checkup. Shout out to Dr. Adler. He's amazing. He went to bat, and Alicia would appreciate this. He is Puerto Rican, and he said, if I have to talk to these people in English, Spanish, or whatever other language I know, I will talk to them to get the point across that you need this surgery. It is now November 2022, and you are suffering. So that's a misconception that, oh, well, all their bills will be covered. There are people in debt that have ovarian cancer because insurance did not cover all the bills, or they will say, oh, we're not going to cover that because it's a clinical trial, or we're not going to cover that because it's not FDA approved. So there are certain things that they will not cover, even though you have cancer. And then, we already talked about toxic people. Just because you have cancer doesn't mean everybody's going to come to your doorstep and be there for you. They're not. My mother and I learned the hard way. And she says, Serena, you're going to find out people's true colors in my illness and in my time of death. And she said, I want you to prepare because not everybody who you call friend is going to be there for you and who we call family. And sure enough, she was right.
Wow. I want to ask, is there anything that individuals can do to potentially reduce the risk of getting ovarian cancer?
It's I wish I could say, here's a secret formula, eat right. You want to do that anyway. We want to eat right. And eating right for people is different for everybody. Okay, so for me, I can't eat gluten. I can't do dairy. I cannot eat red meat. Chicken is now out of my diet as well. And it actually helps my body to become is less inflamed. Um, keeping down your stress levels, staying properly hydrated. People think, oh, but I drink juice. I'm not talking the Dole or Minute Maid juice on the shelf in the grocery store that is packed with sugar. Sugar will help you with a slow death if that's what you want. Okay, so those things. But there's nothing to say, if you do this, you will not have ovarian cancer. There's nothing out there. There's no test. There's nothing. It's unfortunate. But that's where it's like we just have to remain extra healthy. But I remember being a woman who said, I did everything right. I ate right, had a wonderful marriage. I was a marathon runner, worked out, had a great job, and still was diagnosed with stage 3 ovarian cancer. What did I do wrong? And she did a gene test. Now for her, she had the mutated genes. So that's another thing, is your genes. Sometimes your genes, you could do everything right. And for her, she had the mutated genes, but some women don't. Some women don't have it. So, but it's not to say go out there and eat all this fast food and greasy food. We don't want you doing that either. Because she was saying, because she was in good shape, because she ate well, she said, I responded to the treatment better. And she said, that's just for me now. She said, everybody's unique.
Yeah.
But she said, the doctor said, oh, probably take this amount of rounds of chemo, whatever, to get you, to a place of where you're close to remission. And she said, it took half the time. But she said, again, everybody is different. Like the 9-year-old girl I was talking to y'all about, she's a healthy little girl. Cancer, and to the point where they had to remove everything.
Dr. Tachi here says insurance companies are businesses, and some are publicly traded ones at that. Their interests are in profits, not the people.
Yep.
Just since you're an advocate for ovarian cancer, have you heard or are aware of any updates in regards to research? In regards to early detection methods?
Yeah, there's been... I remember when CNN was talking about it, and I remember watching a news report summer of 2010. We're now in 2024. Where's the early detection test? We've been talking about this well beyond the time my mother was diagnosed. But what they are doing more of is clinical trials. There is, of course, you don't hear about them. You should. I should have pulled up her information. There is a Black female doctor who has developed a way to detect cancers earlier on and to treat them. And I know she was raising funds. I wish I could think of her name. And then there's a young gentleman. He's not even a doctor yet. I was like, see, so I said, we're too busy looking into insurance companies and, oh, they have PhDs and they have this. There are teenagers and people in their early 20s coming up with methods to help detect cancer earlier and how to treat cancer. So I said, we need to start pouring in research money into those who are doing the work. They don't have to have a PhD. You don't have to have a master's degree. And so there are clinical trials out there. There is holistic. There's lots of holistic practitioners, integrative health doctors, because there are ways to naturally help you with cancer, vitamin IV treatments, other kinds of IV treatments.
I think Dr. Tachi has, yes, the doctor
yes.
is Dr. Hidea Nicole Green.
Yes, thank you.
All right.
Please look her up, because she was, I remember learning about her a couple of years ago, and fascinating. You don't hear about her. She should be plastered on CNN, C-SPAN, you name it. She should be in the labs with tons of research funding behind her to back her. And that was one of her platforms was, do not allow this message to go dormant. Spread the word. I'm trying to get research. And she was showing how she came up with what she, everything. And I need to do some more research on her. So next time I could talk more intellectually about her. But yeah, it's like she needs to be working with ovarian cancer survivors and breast cancer, whatever, in any cancer, and work with her, like clinics and doctors and practice and hospital systems. But you know what it is? They know that, like, Soratachi said, it's a business. If we direct people to her, they're losing money. And it shouldn't be about that. It should be about the people. If she could save lives, I'm going with her. I wish she was, she couldn't be around when my mother was diagnosed because she's young. She's like, I know she's younger than me, so she might even be like in her 30s. So we're talking 14 and a half years ago. She was probably still like in school. Okay, so, but it's doctors like her that their voices are falling on deaf ears.
I want to ask, you touched a little bit about earlier. I just wanted to see if you had anything that you wanted to share about the importance of having a support system during this time, during treatment and recovery.
Yeah. I will never forget my mom's support system was immediate family. So me, my Aunt Hilda, my grandmother. My grandmother actually said I cannot be her health proxy. She said, I am falling apart and I don't even know what to do. I don't have it in me to fight, because she knew she'd had to fight these doctors, the insurance companies. She said, I'm in my 80s. I do not have it in me. So me and my aunt, we went down as her health proxies. I remember we had to get a nurse reassigned. Like, what you're not going to do is treat my mother, because you were treating her terribly, as well as other people in this wing. They reassigned her to a whole different wing. She wasn't even allowed to be on that floor anymore. So that kind of support system where you have advocates for you. Me and my aunt were her advocate when my mom could not advocate. The prayer warriors. I remember my cousin Fern, she's the legal hat of the family. Okay, so, and she's also the comedian. She would go up there and her and my mother would talk about, my mom's like, tell me about your dating life. She's like, oh, you want to hear about the poor one or the rich one? So it was not the poor guy versus rich guy. Okay. And then even I remember a very touching moment was seeing my Uncle Larry, my Aunt Hilda, and my mother. And they had their moment together. They needed that moment. It was overdue as siblings. And I said, your job is to talk to her about the boys. Because he had my cousins, the ones you hear about now, Dr. Vibe, Tyler and Bryce. So they were boys at the time, little boys. So that was you go in there and you talk to her about the boys. And that was the support system. She has best friends. Her best friend Kim came up there, and the nurse who took care of my other sister, Ayana, before she passed away, she came back to be with my mom and just talk. Let's not talk about cancer. Let's not talk about just talk to me about life and bringing in joy, bringing in the New York style pizza and the beef patties. Okay. Like I need to eat real food. But that was the importance, whether it's medically, whether it's an advocate, whether it's to just talk to her. Like she said, I know I'm going through cancer, but cancer is not me. What's going on beyond the windows of this hospital? Because that's the other thing. My mother was checked in. She checked herself back in August 15th. She never came back home. She was between hospitals and nursing homes for 6 straight months. It's important to keep positives around you. Minnie was talking about an ex-boyfriend. My mom said, yeah, Serena, if you see this ex come across my screen, don't call him back. Don't tell him I'm sick. Don't tell him anything. He's an ex for a reason. Okay, so
Fact.
yeah, keeping toxic people out of your life and telling your family, if you see this name come across the screen, you do not tell him what I'm going through. It's none of his business. So that's part of your support system. And then seeing who doesn't want to be there for you and not forcing them.
I also want to ask you, what challenges do survivors face post-treatment?
You know, they face a number of challenges. The first thing that came to me was discrimination. Oh, you have an ill, because you're now always like that checkbox. You're always checking off that you have, and now you don't have to, it's like you don't have to answer certain questions, but if you do want to check that box because you want to have proper accommodations at your job, um, I'm not, a ovarian cancer survivor, but Lyme disease, I went through this at a job where I was discriminated against because of my illness. I need accommodations. That's why I'm legally protected here. So that's what they go against. They got to go up against filling out all this paperwork, FMLA paperwork. For those who don't know what that is, Family Medical Leave Act, to protect you and to protect your job. So if I'm going to be gone for a week to go to get treatment, so I may not come to work on Mondays, or they cannot let you go. But the second that FMLA paperwork is expired, you better either re-up on it or they will let you go, because they're no longer legally obligated to have you on there to employ you. And just like health factors, some will tell you, even though they're in remission, it takes time to get the energy back. It takes time to just get their life back. And for some, they say it's a rebirth. They're like, you know what? There's maybe some things I can't do anymore, but there's some things I never have done that I'm going to try out. And then just all, like I said, get into the paperwork. Remember Tara talking to me about it. Filling out the SSI paperwork, Social Security, that's the disability. She said that paperwork, you feel like you're doing a dissertation for a PhD. Okay. And she said, and the fact you don't just do it once and it's done. And then there, like it was talked about in the chat here, it's not a lot of money they're giving you. So now your budget, I can't pay rent on this. I can't do this. So some are like, we have to find more income, but then disability is telling me I can't make more income. So I got to make income under the table. And then they're monitoring every dollar you spend. And so you're adding stress to people who are going through the cancer treatment. They're now in remission. We want to keep them in remission. We want them to get better. We don't want them to get stressed out. Medications. I remember Will was on here talking about his ALS medications. How not every medication is fully covered or covered at all by insurance. So I got medications I got to keep, but my copay is hundreds of dollars each month. I'm going broke here off of this and just living and just, you want me to eat right, but blueberries are $6 a pint. Okay. In the grocery store. So there's a lot that they come up against. That's not fair. It's just not fair.
Okay. We'll start winding it down. Got two more conversation pieces. First things first, what message would you like to share? Actually, you know what? Okay. How can individuals contribute to the fight against ovarian cancer?
That's a great question. So this weekend, for example, I will be in Maryland. So it's September, but we advocate 365 days a year. But a lot of like September going into October, because October we want to redirect and help our sisters out who are have dealt with breast cancer or breast cancer survivors. But this is run walk season. And in the United States, the National Ovarian Cancer Coalition is called Together in Teal, TEAL. I have on my teal. That is the color for ovarian cancer awareness. So I'm going to their run walk on Sunday. I'm going to have my table out there and I'm going to be selling books. I'm a 4-time self-published author, and half of the proceeds to any book I sell that day will be going back to the National Ovarian Cancer Coalition. Their website is ovarian.org. People can volunteer. You don't have the money, you can volunteer. A lot of these chapters are across the country, and you can volunteer for a chapter and say, I want to help organize the run walk. I want to help facilitate the support groups. I want to drive a survivor to the doctor. And then there's also the Ovarian Cancer Research Alliance. And they're another one. They do tons of research and fighting for more research for more treatments for ovarian cancer. So you can donate money, you can donate your time, and you could do what I'm doing. I'm an advocate. I'm spreading awareness. This is free of charge. Okay, like my posts on social media, just take the Divine Right out, pop it out. That's my social media across all platforms. You can share my posts. You can see my posts from other places, even on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, Divine Right. And I have videos on there. I always put the Dr. Vibe videos in the, the health and wellness bucket playlist. So go there and share. And that's a way you can spread the gospel. And, even just for yourself, spread, you could talk to the men and say, hey, men, we need you to get your gene test done too. Hey, family, let's get this gene test done, period. Some are covered by insurance, some are not. But there are grants out there. A grant covered mine. And I was able to get complete gene testing done.
All right.
So those are ways that you could help.
And then final conversation piece. What message would you like to share with our family about ovarian cancer awareness and advocacy?
It's like I said, I was already promoting and advocating is a better word, for GYN cancer awareness, because I had the battle with HPV. I was diagnosed with HPV. It wasn't even HPV back then. I didn't even know what it was. It was abnormal cells in my cervix at the age of 20. I was 20. We were already facing that. And then again, later on. And it turned into ovarian cancer advocacy with my mother. And I tell people all the time, I use my mother's African name was Voice. And it's funny because I love when her best friends and the friends she used to dance with, my mom was a professional West African dancer. And when they call me, and even just her friends, even after the dancing, when she stopped dancing, they say, you have the voice, Serena. You and your mother have the same exact voice. But it's not just sound. Y'all are advocates. Y'all fight. We're like they call us the quiet storms. So we're not the rah-rah people, the loud people, but we will fight and we will advocate. And that's my message. There are women out there where my mom, even behind those walls of the hospital, she was advocating for her health. That's how we knew about that trifling nurse that wasn't treating her right. And me and my aunt went to battle. We wrote letters and went all the way up to the head of the hospital. Got an apology letter, and she got reassigned. Oh, and that doctor in the ER, you don't have to worry about him anymore. It was, so that's one thing y'all can do, is to advocate and to educate yourselves, learn more about ovarian cancer awareness, and volunteer. Like I said, there's chapters all over the country, and now there's a lot of stuff being done virtually. It's even better for those who are surviving or in treatment. But they always love volunteers. Like the whole race that's being done this Sunday, the walk run, all volunteers, all. Okay. And they're out there at 4:30 in the morning setting up for the race. And they're breaking down. But that is my message. And for women out there, keep getting your checks. Don't be discouraged. And if a doctor is just brushing you off and just giving you the basics, then you move on to the doctor who'll say, all right, we're going to do a complete blood panel, but let's also do your cancer antigen levels. Let's do this. You're not feeling well. Let's look into that. Have an integrative health doctor like I have. I have a doctor like that on my team who said, okay, you have Lyme disease. Well, I'm thinking you have Lyme without even the blood work. She said, you have Lyme, but there's something else going on, because this part of your body is weaker than this side. Let's get an MRI of your brain. Let's do this. Let's do that. Like, she went the extra mile of things I didn't even think of. And that's what you want. You want doctors on your team that will go the extra few miles and will be by your side.
Okay. Good way to end it off. So a few more comments here. Right Way Home says, good morning. Dr.
Hi,
Tammy
Right
says,
Way
good
Home.
morning to Right Way Home. And you mentioned his name. Here he is, Wayne Harris. Critical
Hello.
illness and disability insurance will help you financially.
And I did not bring that up, Wayne. My mother let her life insurance lapse. So when she passed away, she had no life insurance. And we did not know that until she was critically ill and we could not renew her insurance.
Oh, wow.
So that is very, very important. We all of us had insurance,
but she
let hers lapse because she said I couldn't afford the premiums. Just tell me. I was paying some of your other bills. I'll pay that and catch it up. But she said I was too ashamed to tell you. And now you're critically ill. And that's another message, please. Now I saw Wayne's name. Thank you, Wayne, for coming on today. Please get life insurance. Please, and talk to Wayne Harris. He is a gem. He can decipher what's what: whole life, universal life, this life, all of that. And do that for you're doing it for yourself, but do it for your family.
Yep.
Please.
Yep. All right. Well, Serena, thank you for your second appearance on the Morning Vibe, but your first one about
yes.
ovarian cancer.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Do say hello to the man of the house.
Yeah, I sure will. I'll tell Jordan when he comes home. He's such a man, Dr. Vibe. When he gets off the bus now, it's down the block.
Yeah.
Mom, I don't need you meeting me at the bus.
Okay.
I can come upstairs on my own. So he's a grown man coming through the front door like, oh, okay, sir. So I will let him know when I see him.
So one of the things I would love to hear is if Minnie on Cam gets in touch with you. I think a great conversation would be you, Minnie on Cam, and Alicia. That would be a powerful conversation.
Yes, Alicia, let's bring in Touch. Let's just bring it. Yeah, let's just, and I would love for Wayne
just to hang out, but
for Wayne to jump in and talk about insurance, because my mom's like, oh, I let my insurance lapse. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And when I call MetLife at the time, MetLife, they said, well, yeah, she could renew, but she has to fill out all the paperwork again. And one of those questions are you dealing with, do you have cancer?
Boop.
That's an instant rejection. Like, boom, gone, done. So I would love to. And yes, Minnie on Cam, please reach out to me and Alicia. She's on Instagram or on social media, but I'm Divine Right on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, because my son signed me up for TikTok. And then Facebook, Divine Right's my personal page. You could, I'll friend you.
Go to divineright.com and takes everything. But I would be really happy. And one of the major reasons why I do this is have people who have like minds, intents, and doing it for things the right reason get together. So I'm speaking. I've got my hands like this saying, hopefully that offline conversation. Oh, here we go. Wayne Harris says there are companies that will insure even with pre-existing conditions.
Yeah. Well, this was 2009, 2010. We couldn't find them. And it was really
great content today. So
thank you, Wayne. Thanks
for being here. It's actually, this brings up a very good idea. Bringing people who are health challenged like yourself, maybe on Cam, Alicia, and have like a round table with Wayne.
Yes.
Wayne, would you be up for that idea? I think having a group of individuals who are health challenged and bringing their sort of challenge and you answering them in like a round table format, somewhat similar to what we did with the debate party. Do sort of like a round table in regards to different health, and Wayne can provide his thought process, his suggestions on how these things can be addressed. I think.
And if we could find a female doctor, that would be.
Look at this. Wayne says, "I'm down."
All right, let's do it.
I'll start working on this. I'm like, this is really good, because if we got But and if anyone out there could suggest, well, the challenging part of getting a female doctor to get her time, especially, well, maybe we could work it out. We find a way. We find a way. But as always, Eunice Graham says that's why AF. I don't know what AF means, but and Right Way Home says great idea. It says we'll need a U.S. rep to help them. Okay, well, I'm sure you can get that. You could bring that on, and because Minnie is in Canada, Alisa and Serena are in the U.S., but maybe a roundtable conversation from both sides of the border.
Yeah.
That'd be a great idea. Well, as always, to you and your son, don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace and thanks for making the world a better place. Be well.
Thank you. Many blessings.
Take care. Bye-bye. All right, family, another epic conversation today on the Morning Vibe. Serena really put it down, and as always, family, you were fantastic with the conversation pieces. Got another comment going on here. Oh, Eunice says, that's why you can't get rid of the Obama Health Care Act. Ah, okay. That's what you're saying. All right. All right, before we leave, let's call it some things here. Please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button so we can get up to those 1,600 subscribers. Also follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. To advise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms I'm part of, email me dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Join the Morning Vibe Discord group. Email me dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. If you want to get a hold of my co-host, Mr. Ryan Knight, RyanO'NeillKnight.com, Ryan O'Neill Knight, LinkedIn, Instagram at Ryan.Knight. That's K-N-I-G-H-T, by the way, Knight, 99. And then email workwithme at RyanO'NeillKnight.com. Myself, the drvibeshow.com website, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show, Instagram at The Dr. Vibe Show, X/Twitter at drvibeshow.com, and email dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Also, it's been scrolling, and all these things are in the chat on most of the platforms you're watching on, except LinkedIn for some interesting reason. You can watch replays of these epic conversations on the Dr. Vibe Show, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, Afro-Caribbean Business Network on Facebook, and Ryan O'Neill Knight on YouTube. We got one more comment. Let's do it. Right Way says, we are doing a natural health event in October. I can get you some practitioners. Oh, okay. So you saw my email address, Right Way Home. Email me. I'd love to have that panel discussion on. That would be amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. You got my email address. It's in the comment section where you're watching on YouTube. Just scroll up. Please email me. All right. So let's finish off with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller, get stronger. Block assumptions. Then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember, just don't want to manage your time, manage your energy, and remember to give yourselves grace. Okay, Monday coming up, Sean DeFreitas, CPA. If you're a business owner or an entrepreneur, he's going to give you some tips to make sure get the finances right, paperwork-wise, for the end of this year, and what should you be looking for 2025, because it's coming, folks. This year is moving real fast, and 2025 is making it happen. All right, and then next Friday, we have Minnie on cam too. But first things first, focus on Mondays. On the weekend, primetime Saturday, Aisha and Lala, tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, Sunday afternoon, 5 p.m. Eastern. Black Canada Talking with Cesar Nadima Musa. God bless, peace be well, keep the faith, and walk good.